In the top left of Simulacrum, as the Purple Terran, welcome back once again, Corona. And in the bottom right, as the Red Terran, it's Rathorne. Corona is a 5k EU player, so Rathorne has his work cut out for him. Wrath has peaked at Masters 2. He's not Masters 2 right now. He's sitting around M3. So, this is TVT though. You know, one wrong move into a tank line and you can throw the entire match. A Reaper is under production for Corona. Factory's going down behind this. Factory goes down for Wrath. But this building placement is crazy weird. Like, he's not walling off the top of his ramp. But, like, also not walling off the Reaper jump. Like, this is serving pretty much no purpose, in my humble opinion. I wonder if it's a mistake. It could be a mistake. Wrath throws down Supply Depot to scout incoming drops. And it's been a very passive early game so far from the two players, but someone's going to launch an attack. It's going to be within the next 30 seconds or so. Oh my god. Rathorne straight up outplayed Corona there. That was a beautiful defense. There's a lot of depth to what went on there, but it came down to lining up the Hellion shots and lining up the grenades in just the perfect locations, and Rathorne came out 150 minerals ahead. He still has the standing army to attack with. Corona has the defensive Cyclone, but the lock-on is most likely going to go onto this Hellion. There it is, and that's going to allow Rathorne's Cyclone to lock on. However, Corona launches the repair, but the Reaper Grenade stops the repair from going off. Mule gets picked off. Wrath has like no health remaining on the Cyclone, so he's got to be super careful, but oh, Wrath yeets the defensive Marine off of the map. A siege tank makes short work of the Cyclone and avenges the 6 fallen SCVs, but Vengeance doesn't really gain you anything. It actually, you know, an eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind, some guy said once. And blindness doesn't equal SCVs. It doesn't actually equal economy that translates into units and upgrades, so a little bit unfortunate. Wrath is actually just going mass cyclones. He's going a Kasai variant build. He rallies them to the front of his Nat. Here comes the Cyclone push from Rathorne. He is pretty ahead in army supply thanks to that economic lead. There is a Raven here, but the best it can do is like drop auto turrets. The siege tank is going to be a little bit more of a big deal, especially if Corona sieges the second tank. He does, but it gets picked off. It only is able to launch one shot because Corona's like laziness about not sieging it up. Wrath brings the Cyclone Force back home. He's gonna launch a repair. There's no worse for the wear. Corona has the third orbital finished up and ready to move out. Wrath is building his on location. What this means is like an extra 2 mules should go down for Corona. So he's going to take an economic lead. Has an SCV lead. Wrath is angling for a push. I don't know how I feel about this. Army supplies even, and Corona has defender's advantage. This Liberator is just out of range of the tank, although it should be in range, right? Like this little foot's clipping over the circle. Corona's gonna try and come in from behind. Through the vision blockers. Disables dropped on all of the tanks. There's a stim from the bio. And Wrath's army is totally decimated. The Ravens bait out the Cyclone lock-ons, and there's nothing left. There's 2 Liberators, and they kill all of 3 SCVs. What a chess move here from Corona. Wrath sieges at the top of the ramp. He's prepping for the inevitable counter push from Corona, and I don't think he has the tools left that he needs to deal with this. He's down 35 army supply. There are 2 lines of tanks at the top of this ramp, but Wrath has a lot of ground to defend. There's a weak point here at the choke. He's repositioning his back line of tanks to defend there as well. But what's going to stop Corona from angling in at the third from the other side? I guess the Fog of War. I guess the Fog of War is a good answer. Wrath is taking the top right corner base. Oh no! Oh no, Corona is throwing... Okay, no, he's not. He has disables from the Ravens. Okay, now he's throwing his entire army away as he engages into a tank line. All of one tank and 3 Marines are going to make it here, and the SCVs are going to finish off that tank. There's like 3 medevacs for every biological unit on the field right now. And there have been throws on both sides this game. It looks like Corona's like, I've mined this enough, I'm going to move the whole dang CC out to a 4th location. Corona. It's taking out the rocks. These tanks are looking pretty menacing on the high ground, let me tell you. One volley from these boys. Oh, even with the disables, there's just so many tanks here from Wrath. I don't know why. I have zero idea why Corona thinks he needs to break in. I mean, at this point he kinda does, but he needs to just hit this undefended top right corner base that Wrath can't reposition to defend. I don't think he knows about it though. No, he does not. He's about to find out. Oh, you'll find out. Hi, Pearl. 16 SCVs go down at the 4th. 17. Wrath wins the air superiority battle. The Viking survives with 1 health. Actually 1 HP. Superior Air Force Rathorne. He has 3 more behind this as well. It is pretty good that Corona finally cracked the top right corner base. Corona's taken the bottom left corner base for himself. And he's reached max out, so this is going to be a slow siege of Rathorne. Wrath just... I mean, like, he's not going to tap out, right? You have so many siege tanks. He's just counting. He's just counting on Corona to throw by walking into the siege tank line again. Those tanks were more huge pickoffs for Wrath. A double trap's trying to break in here for Corona. It's not gonna work. This is just Corona bashing his face into a wall and hoping that the wall breaks first. Okay, well, he kind of cracked the wall there. Another CC going down for Rathorne, but it's pretty easily replaceable. As a matter of fact, he has 3 more command centers on the way. 2 orbitals on the way. For Corona. Let's see, did he get Liberator range? He did not. So he has a fusion core. Oh, okay, he's going straight into BC. Which can be devastating against a mostly tank army. However, there's a lot of Vikings in the air here for Rathorne as well. And our friend Corona might have memed a little bit too close to the sun. This push from Wrath is looking mighty. He stims the Marauders forward, but they can't shoot the Liberators. They were trying to get in with the tanks, but there's just so many of them. There's just so many of them. The stupidest air battle of all time is happening right now. The BCs versus the Vikings. They literally just sat there. There was no micro involved. Corona's won the war for now, but Rathorne is now quadruple pumping Vikings. Corona is only double pumping Vikings, so Rathorne will of course win that battle eventually. However, Corona is also on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 base. Remember, he moved this CC out to this location. He's going up to 6. Rathorne sitting on a solid 5 base, but you know, one of these not mining at all actually. Not even a little bit. This planetary isn't quite done for Wrath, so this is a lot of mules dead. However, they each only had like 4 seconds left on them. The planetary should go down as well. Rathorne's pulling half his army back to deal with this, as half the army was in to attack the orbital, but there's so many battle cruisers in the sky. Oh my god, that's really bad for a mostly tank-based army. Rathorne's trying to regroup, but I don't know that that's the correct answer. These medevacs are absorbing a lot of Viking shots. I'm pretty sure that Corona's intentionally using the medevacs to tank for the encroaching battlecruisers. He's only producing battlecruisers, by the way, 3 at a time. Wrath is producing Vikings 6 at a time, though. So we'll see how this pans out. Yeah, no. None of these units... Why does Rathorne keep retreating these units farther and farther back? Can't... None of them can shoot air. Oh, no. The battlecruisers are fighting the missile turrets, so they're losing the war to the Vikings because they're like anime characters. They're like, we're only going to fight you one at a time. Oh, no. Every 30 seconds, Rathorne's going to get 6 more Vikings. Thor's out on the field now, too. Wrath had a good thing going here, but unfortunately orbitals can fly, and none of his units can shoot air. So, the tank column isn't going to find much damage. Rathorne's still up in army supply. Corona is only using his starports to produce things. Yamato Cannon is about to hit the field, which is pretty huge. It means that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Vikings will disappear in the first volley. Rathorne's in on the production. Oh, man. Where's the blink? I heard the blink. I'm looking for the blink. Okay, did they just blink behind? Is that... Yep, and down goes the entire Viking cloud. That's going to leave the tanks on the ground quite vulnerable. However, a significant amount of production has gone down for Corona. Rathorne lost a significant chunk of army, but he's only about 29 supply behind. That's still a lot. A lot. Yeah, I think Rathorne just has no way to engage these BCs at this point. Corona's still triple pumping them. Wrath is going for a Hellion run-by instead. He passes... Okay, no. He doubles back. He's going to take out a couple mules. That was a flex blink. That was a leave the game blink. Corona's being very cheeky here. And I think that was a mistake blink, because now Rathorne has a chance to actually kill all these battle cruisers. It's entirely possible. These guys can't escape. There's so many missile turrets back here for the Vikings to tank over. And there's not enough Yamato cannon to take these guys all down at once. The Vikings can just kite the battle cruisers. Oh my god. Every single battle cruiser is going to die here for Corona. That said, he has more reinforcements coming. Oh no, he gets baited over the missile turrets! 3 more battle cruisers blink forward, but that's not enough to engage the Viking cloud. That said, Rathorne is very behind in production, but I think that bad manner blink forward has galvanized his will to survive for another couple minutes. In the top right corner, as a purple Terran, once again, it's Corona, and in the bottom left, as the red Terran, it's Rathorne. Wrath is sending out a scouting SCV. Corona is scouting out for proxies. Don't you worry, folks. We're going into macro TVT once again. Rathorne with his odd building placement in the middle of his base. I wish I had some more to remark on this about like the theory behind this. But to be honest, okay, well, first of all, to be honest, I avoid pro players playing in this matchup whenever possible. However, like I don't ever see pro players doing this. even with avoiding TVT like the plague, I still cast a lot of TVT, and this is just not something you see every day, so... Corona's going for Marines, which is telling me he's going to take a more defensive posture. There's a 1-1-1 so far. Just a 1-1 so far for Rathorne. And despite Corona eventually overwhelming Wrath, that was such a close game. Somehow, Corona really did most of the damage to himself, engaging into tank lines that he had no business engaging into, being cocky with that blink forward and losing a lot of his battle cruisers. He was able to take total map control, though, due to his constant aggression, but had Wrath just gone and attacked with his ground army while the battle cruisers were harassing him and he didn't really have an air force yet, I think he could have easily won that game. This is a very defensive wait, no it's not. This is not a defensive posture. Wait a minute. Corona hasn't thrown down a second CC. This is an all-in Marine tank push. I'm surprised he's not pulling all of the boys. He has to get so much damage done to make this worth. Rathorne needs to be out on the map and kiting this back. He needs to pick off the tank with the Cyclone. He needs distance. Okay. Luckily for Wrath, he is heading out onto the map. He knows what's coming his way, but I think he needs to be kiting back. I think he needs to go for the lock-on on the tank. There it is. There's the lock-on on the tank. The SCVs are going to be able to repair that little tidbit of damage. But what Rathorne is trying to do is buy time. Buy time for another Cyclone, buy time for more Marines, and buy time for those maglev accelerators. A lot of the boys are pulled, and this is going to be a clean hold for Rathorne. That said, well, okay, clean hold might be a little bit of a misnomer. He lost quite a few workers. Wrath holds the line. In the end. Wrath didn't click on the mineral patch. Okay, alright, that's some significant lost mining time, but Wrath held the... Okay, no he didn't. He has to cancel his third. Corona's still pushing in here. He's super all in, actually. He can't throw down a second CC at this point. His main's going to start losing mineral patches very shortly here. His tank's in a good position. It's heavily wounded, though. If an SCV sneezes on it, it dies. Okay, he's going to drop a mule to repair, but that's going to hurt his economy behind this even more. Down goes the tank. SCVs are swarming in on the Marines. The Marines are holding strong, though. Here comes another tank for Corona. But the Cyclones, with their mag field accelerators, will get the lock on. Down goes the tank. And now the Cyclones can focus down the Marines and the Viking. Wrath has fallen a little bit behind in workers once again, but that doesn't really matter at this point. Like I noted before, Corona's going to run out of mineral patches very shortly here, and Wrath has an entirely fresh base. he can transfer from the main down there. He has 2 fresh geysers, one of them with a refinery already on it, to start mining. And the longer this goes on, the worse and worse and worse it gets for Corona. He just keeps sending the same attack over and over and over and over and over again and expecting it to work. I think there's a Far Cry 3 character that said something about this. Something, something. Do you know the definition of insanity? It's doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. Rathorne very subtly just leashed the siege tank momentarily out of the range of repair for the SCVs, so it wasn't being repaired for a split second, and the Cyclones took it down. Second tank goes down. Corona has pushed Wrath back into his main, taken out another dozen SCVs, but, you know, Wrath still isn't that far behind. Actually, he's not behind at all. Here we go. 35 minerals remaining on that patch. And things are about to go from bad to worse for Corona. Remember, Wrath has a 3rd CC on the way as well, and it's going to be a planetary. If worst comes to worst, he can lift all his buildings and reposition around the planetary. And Corona just actually doesn't have anything he needs to deal with the planetary right now. SCVs go down. The worker brutality on both sides. Okay. Corona's trying to go for a 2nd CC now. I think the time for that was quite some time ago, amigo. Another mineral patch is about to mine out. For a purple Terran. Corona's trying to pick off the CC, like, really hard. I think Wrath threw too many Cyclones in the middle of the map. Oh my god, is Corona gonna win this? No, he's not. Wrath is just waiting for Lock-On to get off cooldown. There's infinite repair for the CC. The Marines are trying to clear the SCVs out. Oh, Marines are going to have to go into the tank fire anyways, so they choose to go down fighting. And the Cyclones break through once again. Wrath is down to 12 SCVs, however, he does have 3 orbitals. So he's actually 6, 12, 18, plus 12 is 31. Yeah, he's like, technically speaking, 4 workers ahead of Corona right now after all those trades. Let's take a look at the resources lost. Actually, 500 in favor of Wrath, but all told pretty even. And that, of course, favors Wrath as he does have the better economy by far. Corona's trying to get up his 2nd orbital, but now he's the one on the defense. All these Cyclones have used their lock-on. They don't want to engage the tank now. I think they're too softened up to go in here again. Nope. They get the lock-on on the tank. 2 of them do go down, but another tank falls for Corona. The only upgrade on the field right now is mag field accelerators for Wrath. That's it. No +1. No anything. 13 minutes into this game. No stim, no combat shields. Thanks to Wrath's extra CC, he is catching up in the SCV count. Wrath's upping his production, building a missile turret just to stay super safe. Corona here is transitioning into bio. A third CC under construction for him as well. But he hasn't grabbed third and fourth gases on his natural yet. Rathorne's going to move his third CC out to location. Cyclones are taking out Marine after Marine. A hot pickup on the siege tank will save it for Corona. I think Wrath finally has the upper hand. He's still down 7 workers, but I mean, this is just way over saturation on the natural for Ninja Turtle, and he's running out of mineral patches that he can mule effectively. Oh no, the Marines walked into the tank fire. GG's. OBS, contacting OBS if you could hook into the game, please. Alright. In the top right, as the purple Terran, it's Corona. And in the bottom left, as the red Terran, it's Rathorne. Oh boy, it's been a grueling series. Ninja Turtle, also known as Corona, went with relentless aggression in game number 2. Game number 1 was super macro on both sides, ending in Battlecruiser versus Viking air war. Wrath has completed his barracks. He is going into orbital, going into factory. Ninja Turtle is doing much the same. The factory is about to pop for Wrath. I'm sure it's going to make some Hellions. Make some Hellion babies. But, hey. So, the stakes here are... winner of this game moves on to the round of 16 carte blanche. They don't have to play another match. They don't have to worry about anything until that round starts sometime after April 20th. The loser is going to drop down to the Deciders match where they will have to play for their life. Now, both players have already won something And they won the fact that they're going to finish no lower than the top 24. So they will be walking home with at least 400 RSL points when all is said and done. But of course, you want to move on to the round of 16, get up higher and higher in those point values. Factory's almost finished for Wrath. Really nice grenades from Corona. He will get a delay on the CC. Wrath's gonna lose 2 SCVs if Corona doesn't shoot the rocks too many more times. Another well-placed grenade for Corona. Barracks, CC on the way. Or a purple Terran. Wrath is just pumping out Mass Cyclone again. He's just making exclusively Cyclones. Does have mag field accelerators already. I mean, yeah, this could work, sure. How many Cyclones? 3 Cyclones here. The Hellion should absorb the first tank shot, so it depends what they lock onto. Oh, all 3 take out the Cyclone. That was a short and bloody engagement. Wrath is off cooldown and ready to engage again. This time he was not so successful with 2 tanks sieged up. He can't keep diving in like this, but Wrath doesn't really care. All he cares about is the fact that he has a 3rd CC building on location slightly off-center. Wrath overextended into the tanks. And that's no good. This Cyclone will not make it home safely. Those were some huge losses for Rathorne. I mean, like, he traded out 4 Cyclones for what? For most of the health off of a siege tank? He's not able to pick off the Raven. Both players are going to take their 3rd bases at around the same time, but look how disparate the army supply is. 37 to 24. All thanks to one, like, mistaken engagement from Rathorne. Oh, he comes in from behind with the Cyclones. He does take out a tank, but I don't know if it's worth it. Those were some nice Marine picks from Wrath. He didn't lose a Cyclone for it. If he had lost a Cyclone, definitely not worth, but hey, what happens, happens. And Wrath is hiding a ninja base in the top left corner. He needs to bluff his way to surviving this Marine tank push, though. He doesn't have a standing army to deal with this. He only has 2 tanks. This is not the formidable, you know, triple layered tank line that Corona was engaging into in game number 1. This is actually just 2 siege tanks. And that is definitely not enough to melt this much bio. Alright, 4 siege tanks is a little bit closer. But Corona sees what Rathorne has. It's going to be able to take this engagement from an angle of his choosing. Hopefully it's not that angle. This choke point ramp was totally takeable from Corona, but no longer. There is now a tank siege there. And now this is starting to look like the formidable triple layered tank line that Wrath used in game number 1. Yeah, this is it. This is game over for Rathorne. I hate to say it, but that was really brutal. That was really smart of Corona to drop on the high grounds and then stim in with the Marines from a different angle. GG is called. Corona is your winner of Group H, and he's going to be our first player to move on to the round of 16. Going to head down